Oh,
Welcome to the E.A.T podcast, episode number 12. I'm your host, Jerry, and there's the big guy, Russ. He's back for the show. Russ, how you been, buddy?
we're back.
We're back. How's it going?
Good. Doing well.
I gotta say, I missed you. I had some big
I-
guests on. I mean, really. I mean,
I'm afraid I was on the injured list, but I'm back.
Blake
Successful.
Harris with a lot of financial advice and how to hide some money. That was big. And Phil Hellmuth. I mean, I can't even. I'm still on cloud 9 from that. Honestly, greatest of all time poker player, 15-time World Series of Poker bracelet winner. I mean, holy cow, it was great. And then we had Phil on another Phil last episode talking about some WWE stuff and the biography series and everything else that's going on.
Yeah, I really wanted to make that one because I've been watching them and I'm a little disappointed.
You were disappointed in them, or you were disappointed that you missed the show?
No, I was disappointed I missed the show because I really enjoyed watching a bunch of them. And I kind of like how A&E basically showed the truth. They didn't just sugarcoat everything. They, Macho Man was an asshole. Or Ultimate Warrior pretty much was a dickhead. And Brett got screwed, but he dedicated his life.
Yeah.
The Stone Cold was awesome, but in the end, he kind of dicked over his family. I guess that's the one theme of everything, that it's very hard to have a family life, and pretty much everyone gets married and divorced at least once or twice. And
is like a psycho or believes their character is their real life person. I mean, that's what it seems to be with all these guys.
Give a shout out to Mr. Boots out there in the chat. Watching all the time.
Mr. J Boots, what's going on, buddy? All right, so let's get into this. Current events, we're going to do some sports, and then we're going to get into the gift that keeps on giving, which is LTNC, which was down 20-something% today at times, and it's just been a bloodbath for a while. And, I mean, you know me, I've tried to be impartial. I've asked Joe about coming on the show. We had Danny on. We had Ryan on. I mean, I'll get into this later, but we're going to get into that. And then to round out the show, I have a email exchange from a OTC Markets contact that I made. And that's going to basically get into the pink current deadlines that are coming up. It's going to tie into some promotion stuff, which Ryan Shadle said that their application was denied because of promotion. So I'm going to dive into that a little bit as well. The chat is open if anybody does want to chime in on anything. You might not see it on your screen, but we see it on ours. It's there. We'll see any questions that you guys post. But let's get into current events first. Russ, Jeff Bezos joining the space race. He auctioned off the first seat for the Blue Origin flight. The winning bid was roughly $28 million. I mean, these guys aren't going into space for like an overnight. They're going into space for a little bit and coming back. And that's a hefty price to pay, wouldn't you say?
I wish I had that kind of money. It would be nice. But even if I had that kind of money, I would not want to be the first person because I'd like them to work out the kinks first. I wouldn't want to be on another, wouldn't want to be part of another group of like the Challenger, the things exploding in space. So
yeah, I'm not too keen on going up there and being the first one up. I mean, maybe down the line.
Keep that honor. I'm going to save my money and wait for like the 100th trip when we know it works good.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe the price will come down. I just want to add, though, speaking about prices here, we due to our promotions with our show, we got a little bit of money, and I was able to get new Wi-Fi, and I was also able to buy a new laptop. So hopefully we won't have any connection issues. And if we do, then I'm going to have a lot to say to HP and a lot to say to Optimum.
If you have connection, Wi-Fi, noise, background, anything going on, after all these upgrades, we got to have a talk because I mean you're more set technology wise now than I am, and I mean I'm in my bedroom basically, but you're more hooked up than me right now. All right, so getting into the next thing of current events is another one of our gifts that keep on giving. Russ, who was spotted last weekend? Get into this.
J-Lo and Ben thing's getting stronger because they were spotted and just getting closer to that ring, and it amazes me. If this was a girl in our high school, she would have been labeled an absolute whore. And listen,
Absolutely.
I love J Lo. She looks great. She's seems like a wonderful person, but holy shit, she wasn't even away from A-Rod for like a week, and she's back with Ben, and just these people date like I don't even it must be nice just to be a rich celebrity. These people date like you wouldn't believe.
It must
I mean,
be.
just serious relationships. Next week they're on a beach in the Bahamas with their next lover, and it's hot and heavy. Holy shit!
I mean, she was buying the Mets with A-Rod. They were engaged. They were buying houses all over New York City and LA and wherever else they were. Well, Miami, wherever they were. I mean, they were in a different town every week, basically, and they were buying real estate. And then, wham! All of a sudden, the story comes out that he's texting with some girl. And look at this. The next week later, they break up, or a month later, whatever it was, they break up. And she's back hanging out with Ben, and it's, we're just friends. They've been friends the whole time. Nah, I don't think so.
Yeah, it's weird. But hey, that's the life of millionaires.
So Roger Waters made noise the other day, and he revealed that Facebook head honcho Mark Zuckerberg offered him some big money to use Pink Floyd's classic 1979 anthem, Another Brick in the Wall, Part 2, in an Instagram ad. And the co-founding member of the iconic rock band turned the little punk down flat, as he put it. It arrived this morning with an offer that was for a pretty huge amount of money, he's quoted as saying, the 77-year-old. And the answer was, F you, no effing way. Which I find comical because I would think Roger Waters has some money, but to turn down big or huge money, as you put it.
I just, from what it seemed like, is that he can't stand Mark Zuckerberg. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've met a person now that can.
Right?
He's just like a robotic dickhead. But I like Roger Waters' response, and it literally was his words out of his mouth were "fuck you, no fucking way."
That's awesome.
I just wish he would have done it in person, right to his face. That'd have been awesome.
Oh yeah, streaming live on Instagram or Twitter.
Yeah. But moving right along to money, most of you that don't live under a rock pretty much know about Barstool Sports. And while me and Jerry listen to Spit Chicklets on the occasion, one of their also most popular podcasts is Call Her Daddy. And it appears that Alex Cooper is leaving Barstool and signing a 3-year, $60 million deal with Spotify. A lot of issues came to light a little over last year with her feud with co-host Sophia Franklin over money. And then, of course, Dave Portnoy got involved and ended up fighting with Franklin's boyfriend. And they ended up being kicked off the show. So Alex Cooper took over and kept it successful. And this actually seems like an amicable split because normally, knowing Portnoy, if you wrong him or jump ship, he tends to blast the shit out of you on Twitter. And he didn't.
He didn't yet.
He wrote something to the effect of that he helped build her up, and look where she is. So it probably worked out a good deal, and Dave seems to be happy with it, I guess.
Yeah. So Peyton Manning, Russ, one of the guys that you grew up idolizing and watching on a daily basis or a Sunday basis, is getting into the game show hosting gig. He's going to give that a try. I just saw that this summer he is going to host the Capital One College Bowl on NBC with his brother Cooper. And it's basically going to be 3-person teams from various colleges competing in trivia to win scholarships. Now, did he try out for Jeopardy? Because if he's doing a show like this,
I'm not sure that he did.
I don't think he did either. I'm wondering why he wouldn't have, put his name in the ring, so to speak, or his hat in the ring to
maybe
give that a whirl.
And if you actually have watched him over the years, like on SNL, he's secretly funny.
Yes.
He has this weird, dry look about him, but he's actually pretty good with the comedy and quick one-liners. It's kind of odd. He doesn't appear that way. So I'm interested to see it, and I can only imagine the Steve Harvey type of looks when some of these college players get their answers. So but that should be interesting. I mean, I guess he's seeing Romo have success with commentating, and everybody seems to want to get into the world of TV, and he's got, I guess, the personality for it. And, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
but
we'll see.
just glad Jeopardy didn't pick Aaron Rodgers to host.
They haven't announced the winner yet, right? I mean, I just saw the Blossom girl, Mayim Bialik,
Ryan Biles, yeah.
host last couple of weeks, but they haven't announced anybody for sure yet, right?
No, it's going to be kind of hard. I mean, Alex Speck was one of a kind, so
You're literally replacing the greatest of all time. All right, so let's get into some hockey.
We've just been alerted. The Groat is on the taking the mound.
DeGrom is on the mound. I love it. The chat's going. We got Mr. Boots. It's awesome.
Keep us updated, Boots.
Yeah, keep us updated.
I need to know how the GOAT does. All right, NHL playoffs. Our happiest time of year. I mean, we wish the Rangers were in it, but the surprise Canadians visited the Las Vegas Golden Knights over the weekend. This is for Game 1, and while Carey Price has been pretty much lights out, the Vegas Knights pretty much dominated them. I used pretty much a lot there, didn't I?
A little bit.
A little bit. And you got to think that Montreal hasn't been playing in front of a crowd. And I think their last two games or last game it was against Toronto was like 2,500 people. They go to Vegas, and it's a completely packed fucking circus.
Yes.
And it had to have some effect on them. And Vegas just destroyed them 4-1. Carey Price, who's, like I said, has been invincible. He allowed 4 goals on 29 shots. And right now, they play Game 2 tonight. Vegas takes a 2-0 lead. I don't know. Maybe the Canadians' run is over. I don't think they got the firepower to compete with Vegas. So, especially if Carey Price, if his hot streak is over, they won't be able to compete. So,
I mean, we look at this and we see that Montreal came out of the Canadian North Division, and nobody said that they were coming out of it. I mean, you joked saying, "Hey, I want them to beat Toronto so that there's chaos in Canada."
Well, I'm pissed off about that because I expected bigger riots. I wanted a bigger. I know the Toronto media went nuts, and there's been all kinds of memes, but I really, really, I wanted I wanted some riots there.
I don't think anybody had Montreal coming out of that division at all.
No, and it pisses me off that the Rangers had a better record than Montreal too.
Of course, I mean we've gone through this. The gauntlet of the division that they were in was just insanity. But getting into the quote unquote Eastern Conference, because that's where Tampa and the Islanders both normally play, Tampa was shocked at home with a 2-1 win, and I gotta say I watched a good portion of that game, and they both came out very cautious and timid and just getting a feel for each other to see what's going on before the game actually started picking up a pace, which I guess, okay, you're going to do that. And then Islanders win Game 1, 2-1, and every Islander fan around us is on cloud 9. I mean, everybody's – I'm hearing from Islander fan friends of mine that there's going to be a sweep and Tampa's done and all this.
I fucking hate it, but I don't blame them. I can understand. They're at this point, they're no longer an underdog. They really are a very good team, and I don't know if Washington's kicking themselves for letting Barry Trotz go. And for the most part, the core of the Islanders were there when Trotz came in, but I got to tell you, they are a very formidable team with a very good coach. So I understand why these Islander fans are so optimistic and happy, but I still don't like it.
And then we were talking last night, and I said, hey, the Islanders better not go up 2-0 on this, because going up 2-0 on Tampa and coming back to the barn with those fans and the chaos that goes on there, I would have been a little worried. So I told you last night, I said, yesterday afternoon, I hope the Tampa Bay Lightning put up a 6 spot. And when it was 4-1, I thought we were just about there. But I'll take a 4-2 win. I'll take a 1-1 split right now. And going back to the island, I hope that Tampa has their ducks in a row now to roll. But there was one big thing that happened in that game the night that I want to play a video on, and I want your feedback on this.
Yeah, the point play. The
point play goes in.
There really isn't much time to react. And they called a penalty on point there. And
I mean, how? How?
Listen, when you're on skates, you're that close. You get pushed. I don't see how he's able to react there. I know Islander fans and some Montreal fans were all over Twitter, comparing him to Kreider, who took out Price
Yes.
years ago and damaged their Stanley Cup hopes. But listen, when you're that close and you get shoved like that, there's no. People said, "Oh, he had time to get out of the way or stop." No, he
Nope.
fucking didn't. No, he
And,
didn't.
and to call a penalty, I mean, you got to be kidding me. Really, you calling a penalty on that? That's unbelievable. So now let's get into some real important hockey news with the Rangers. Let's get into that, Russ.
All right. I'm gonna take a wild guess here and say that you're talking about the hiring of Gerard Depardieu. Oh no,
Gerard Gallant. The Turk, right? His nickname is Turk.
After the whole upper management firing fest of the Rangers, they took the first steps into putting the puzzle back together with hiring former Vegas coach Gerard Gallant. All the players, the fans, everyone for that matter, was shocked at the Vegas dismissal, despite the team being in second place and leading them to the Stanley Cup Finals and Conference Finals in consecutive years. But I still don't understand why he was fired. But I guess at this point, I'm glad he. I still don't really like everything that went on with the firing, but this is a step in the right direction. So he gets a 4-year deal, $3.5 million a year. Must be fucking nice.
Yeah, right. Must be nice.
But hopefully Dolan doesn't force Drury into making a stupid move, just because he wants a big splash into next season. But there is a rumor that Dolan didn't even meet with Gallant. And our question is, how the fuck is that possible if that is true? Like,
how?
After what Dolan influenced with the firings of Davidson and
Jeff Gorton.
Davidson and Gorton, how does he not meet with the hiring of the new coach? I don't know.
Listen,
weird to me, but
I've said it for weeks now, and it's the owner that most Ranger fans can't stand and want him to leave this team, like sell it or move on or do something or just leave them alone. But you clean house, you get rid of all three guys, and then you let the new guy basically run the interviews with Tocchet and Gallant and whoever else that was involved. And you don't even meet with any of these guys when they're interviewing. Like, if I had $1 billion arena, and it's multiple billion, but I mean, if I had $1 billion arena and $1 billion team, I don't know if I'd be micromanaging, but I would definitely have my hands on the pulse of the place. I mean, this guy doesn't even meet with the guy who's going to coach. And this is the coach that's going to get them to the playoffs or bust.
Yeah,
how is that possible?
I don't know. I mean, like I said, it's only a rumor, but I know James Dolan is an eclectic fuck, so who knows?
When it comes from these guys on Twitter with the blue check marks, and I'm not going to mention names because I don't know which one put out this one, but when it comes from these guys with the blue check marks, the hockey insiders, they usually right 99 out of 100 times. All right, so let's get into some baseball. I'm just going to go through the divisions real quick with the this updated standings. You got Tampa Bay leading the Boston Red Sox by 1.5 games in the AL East. You got the White Sox with a 5-game lead over the Indians in the Central, and Oakland A's with a 2.5-game lead over Houston in the West. And Russ, you want to take over for the National League?
Yeah, I just want to say, well, I'll get to the Mets too in a minute, but the Oakland thing makes me laugh. They always have these teams that do well, and we just know what's going to happen. They're going to lose in the first fucking round of the playoffs.
Of course. Yep.
So that's what I feel bad for Billy B. I really like to see them win, but we know that's the inevitable with them. So the National League East, the Mets have a 5-game lead over the Phillies, and it's early, and DeGrom is fucking leading the way, and we've been very, very injury plagued, and still just pumping it out. Slowly, Lindor is coming to life a little bit here, and but I think a big surprise has been Jonathan Villar. He's played excellent, and but as Boots says, bench mob killing it.
Yes.
But it's a 5-game lead over the Phillies this early. Listen, I'm a Mets fan. There's no safety. We're 10 games up with 10 games to play, and I will still be worried that we'll make the playoffs. So I hold no faith in this 5-game lead, but it's nice to show that they're doing their thing even with all the injuries. Cubs are a weird little mess right now. It seems Chris Bryant wants out, but they have a half-game lead over Milwaukee. In the West, San Fran holds a 1-game lead over the Dodgers, and they're just it's a carousel of what the hell.
It's a revolving door over there.
San Fran, the Dodgers, the Padres, all really good, and they seem to be playing this game of get hot, win a bunch of games, and then all of a sudden lose a bunch of games. So the Mets just took 2 out of 3 from them, but they're just 3 good teams that seem to be revolving carousel around first place there.
Yeah. All right, so now let's get into some MLB news. You got Tyler Glass now criticizing Major League Baseball on the new restrictions of pitchers and the uses of the foreign substance. So he says he's used rosin and he's used sunscreen to get a grip on the ball. And now, with these new rules in place, he has to change his pitching approach, and that led to an injury. Well, boo-hoo, buddy. I mean, you can't cheat and you're hurt now? Really?
Well, here's the funny thing to me is, all right, the rosin. I can completely understand the rosin's always been there.
There's a rosin bag, yes.
That's always been known. So, but the sunscreen thing, I never heard of. However, isn't that like him just kind of admitting to cheating? You're using something that turns into a sticky substance and helps. See, here's the thing: is the big look at is their spin rate. People are bringing that up. That all of a sudden these pitchers, their spin rate, which DeGrom hasn't gone down, or at least had like the lowest drop, whereas he wouldn't say anything. But isn't that kind of like saying that you cheated using sunscreen? And I mean, if the rosin isn't that, I don't know. At this point in time, I would think if everybody's got a microscope on you pitching, so putting something on your glove, putting something you're repeatedly going back, you're going to get caught. But the whole sunscreen thing, it just kind of took me by surprise. If you're admitting you're using something to I guess cheat, but
rosin isn't exactly cheating because the bag is back there. That's fine. But you're sweating and whatever. I get it.
It's always been used for basically help you get a grip on the ball. That's been accepted. But
sunscreen added to the mix. Just that's why would you admit to that? And and then you had Garrett Cole, who had the press conference with the Yankees last week, and he was asked about spider tack, and I guess he wasn't prepped. I guess the question caught him off guard. I mean, this has been a story now for a little while, and it's picking up steam. These guys have to realize, or should have realized, that the questions were going to start coming to them. About these substances. And I mean, basically he fumbled it, and I don't even know what kind of answer he gave. I mean, he didn't answer the question. He avoided it completely and looked like a fool.
I can't remember the actor's name. We've seen him a million times, but all this thing brings me back to Major League when he says, if all else fails, you lose little Crisco. One pitcher from Major League reminds me of. They did announce, though, if you get caught using a substance, you'll get a 10-game suspension. But for a pitcher, that's really nothing. You missed 2 starts.
Yeah, 2 starts.
I mean,
for a reliever, it's maybe 3 games, 3 appearances, maybe.
I would think maybe adjust. What do you call it? Boots is saying that with the sunscreen, the rosin, it's the mix. It makes it like a paste, I guess. It's kind of funny is some people talk about Vaseline and other things. So I guess some people want a little, either a grip or they want something to make a spin with a little bit of slippery. So I'm not really sure. I mean, I was a fucking catcher. I wasn't a pitcher. So
I guess everybody's preference is different. Do you want it slippery? Do you want it, rough or gritty? I mean, I guess everyone, depending on how they want to grip the ball.
You like it rough. I know you do.
No comment on any of that. All right, let's get into some football.
My wife's dying over here.
Let's get into Julio Jones going to Tennessee, and that's going to affect your Colts. So I want to hear about this from you.
Yeah, fuck that shit. Fuck Julio Jones. No, it's Hackney's like what they gave up. Shit, why couldn't we have taken it? We would have had
second round pick.
Yeah, you would have had T.Y. Hilton, Pittman, and freaking Julio Jones with Taylor merging with as a rookie with 1,000 yards last year. I mean, Christ, that would have been awesome. But now you have.
The chat is on fire tonight with Mr. J Boots.
So, apparently, the rosin mix is like powdering your balls than using lotion. It's a pasty mess. I caught my eye when that popped up. But either way, now you got Derrick Henry at running back, who's arguably the best back in the league. The guy's just a fucking animal. And then at receiver, A.J. Brown and Julio. That's the best 1-2. I mean,
Right?
A.J. Brown has turned into a monster. And Julio is Julio. He's still got a couple years in the tank, and he's still, one of the best. And
Yep.
what do you call it? And Tannehill has resurrected his career after the what was her name? It was the safety Grimes in Miami. His wife ripped apart Tannehill that he was a bum, and he went to Tennessee, and it proved that the guy's a very serviceable quarterback. He's not this fancy guy, but he can run for a first down if needed to. He controls the game well, and he really kind of plays mistake-free football for the most part. And with the supporting cast he has, that's all you need. You don't need a superstar. You need somebody that manages the game and can get the ball to these guys because they're the playmakers. And as a Colts fan, it's there's definitely going to have some competition there because they still have a formidable defense. And
they got you a little worried, don't they?
Fight for the division. But they brought up some stuff the other day with I think DeAndre Hopkins said it about the trading the picks, and he's right. You trade these picks, but obviously there was some issues with Julio, but you trade a pick for the established player. He says, I'll take the established player all along because you can't guarantee me that pick is going to turn into the next Julio Jones, and it's highly unlikely. So even if you're trading the top number one overall pick, if you're trading it for a superstar, I'd rather have the superstar or the really good player. You already know what you have in that player.
Yeah, you don't know. That pick could very well be a wide receiver. And that pick could very well be half of Julio Jones. I mean, think about that. You're getting half of it back.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So for Tennessee, screw it. Listen, Julio, I would think he definitely has a couple more years. He's definitely had some injuries of late. He's got to get healthy. But in the end, right now their win is now. Like I said, running backs aren't lasting 10 years in this league at top level. It's not, it's hard. There's no more Barry Sanders types because it seems to be a revolving door where there's a top back for 2 or 3 years and then they kind of fade. So I don't think that's the case. I think Henry's going to be good for a long time still, but you never know. You want to take advantage of it while it's here.
Yeah.
Because you think if you're double teaming either Julio or A.J. Brown, they could run the shit out of the ball and you can't stop it. And if you concentrate on stopping Henry, how do you think going to stop them throwing a fucking Julio and A.J. Brown? It's really is a great combination. So
it is. And basically, Le'Veon Bell caused the stir this week, proclaiming he'd never play for Andy Reid again, to which Tyrann Mathieu fired back. These types of people always blame others for their lack of success. So Le'Veon Bell's been successful. I mean, before the Jets and everything else, but with Pittsburgh, he was probably if not the, but one of the top running backs in the whole league. So, I mean, the guy's been successful. I guess the lack of success comment is now him not being successful with the Jets and the Chiefs, right?
Yes. What do you call it? Andy Reid seems to be loved. And Tyrann Mathieu coming to Andy Reid's defense there tells me pretty much all I need to know, that pretty much Bell became the cancer in Pittsburgh and just never stopped because he even got shit on by the Jets players leaving the Jets. And so he definitely became a cancer and just thought he was the shit. And listen, maybe all those years, it was just the system in which he played in Pittsburgh that made him successful.
And listen, I'll take that Pittsburgh team as my NFL team for a decade or two because they're competitive every year. I mean, you can't not want that, right?
Yeah. So either way, I think he just, for the most part, he showed his hand that he's become a cancer in the locker room and just has a terrible attitude. So, staying on the football field this week, Aaron Rodgers apparently wore a T-shirt. Well, didn't apparently. He did.
No, he did.
He wore a T-shirt that said, "I'm offended," during an interview with Tom Brady talking about their July 6th golf matchup, which was with Phil Mickelson and Bryson DeChambeau, which we never got into the other week, the whole DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka, how the fuck you say his name?
Brooks Koepka.
That whole little fake feud with fans yelling Brooks at Bryson. And
like an eye roll and whatever else was going on back there. Yeah.
yeah, but Rodgers already missed the Packers mandatory minicamp and is subject to a $93,000 fine. So chump change to him, but me, that would put me in the hole for a long time.
Yeah.
He also missed the entire offseason workout, forfeiting $500,000. And I don't know if he's going to report to camp next month. Hold out, demand a trade. This isn't this. I don't think this is going to end well, but this is a very, very strange situation.
It's you replaced Brett Favre. I mean, who was an all-time great icon, won Super Bowls there. You replaced him. And being that next guy and riding off into the sunset as the next great QB, I would think should mean something to this guy. And he got slighted or felt whatever he felt when the Packers moved up to draft the next QB that's going to replace Rodgers, I guess. And Rodgers thinks he has a lot left in the tank. Jordan Love thinks he has a lot left in the tank. His main gripe, which I can see being a gripe, is you used assets to move up and get this guy, and the guy's not doing anything for us when those assets you gave up would have helped me now. They would have helped the team now for the next year or 2 or 3. Drafting his QB didn't help the team. And I get the gripe. I get the complaint. If you think you're going to play like Brady into your 45 and 50 years old, I mean, sure, then he's going to be there for a while. So I get how he's slighted, but this isn't going to end well. He's leaving. He's not staying there.
Well, I mean, at this point,
the legacy's done.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, where's he going? And what do you call it? I just don't, at this point, it's this late. I mean, this late season. I mean, fuck, I was going to say. No, at this point, I would just go with it and say, listen, I'm going to play the goddamn season, but I want this figured out. You figure out what you're going to do. Either you want to go with him, with Love, or you want to trade me or whatever, or wait to the death. But there's got to be something going on. It just seems like a really bad relationship. And I used to love Aaron Rodgers, and I'm glad he got his Super Bowl, and I loved him at the time. The last few years, his whole feuding with his family seems to be that maybe it's him, maybe it's not his family.
Well, he dated the girl, and that caused a big rift of the family. Then they broke up, and he got together with somebody new. Olivia Munn. Then he got together with Danica Patrick, and things were great.
I love you, Olivia, if you're listening.
Then he got with Danica Patrick, and then that went south too, right? Now he's marrying somebody new, or married somebody new.
I don't know, but the more this goes on, the more I start to think it's odd. The more this goes on, the more I think he's the biggest dickhead in the world. And ever since Brady got traded to Tampa, I don't know. I love the guy. It's crazy. You would never think that a few years ago I'd say I can't stand Aaron Rodgers and I love Tom Brady. But a quick note before we get to the NBA here.
Yeah.
With all this going on, what the hell happened to the Deshaun Watson mess? That was like the early drama of the Brady stuff where he wanted out, demanded that they didn't even get the coach, and then you haven't heard anything. Is he going to go to camp? Is he going to how does that work out?
So I want to say, correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say there's like 28 females that have claimed some kind of abuse or something with him, and it's a crazy number like that. I might be off by 1 or 2 or a few, but it's some crazy number. And
I know, but then it kind of quieted down, and then
it kind of went away. Now, is there a deal being made behind the scenes? Maybe,
I don't know, but still, even with the trade, I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah, it went quiet. The whole story went quiet, and now it's all about Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay. I agree that Green Bay totally took away that story. I agree. Let's get into the NBA real quick. In the East, the Nets with a 3-2 lead over the Bucks after a monster game from Kevin Durant last night. And
I love the hug between. I can't stand Durant, but I love the hug between him and Nash.
I don't watch enough basketball, I guess, as compared to hockey. Hockey's my thing, you know that. But when did they decide to go to these graffiti third jersey looking type third jerseys and basketball courts and stuff that they got going on? What's going on there?
They all kind of got different jerseys now. They got like a third jersey that they're wearing more often. It don't really bother me that much, but either way, with Kyrie being hurt, KD basically said, "Listen, get the fuck on my back."
Yeah,
Then we're gonna
basically.
win this game. And that's what he did. Like I said, is at the end of the game, they had a huge embrace with Steve Nash, and it was almost like Nash hugging him in desperation, going, "Thank you."
Thank you.
But
Saved my job, basically.
then you get the Hawks and the Sixers playing tonight, and I could really give two craps about that one. The they don't excite me. I don't really like the Nets either, but I guess I kind of, if anyone's going to come out of the East, I wouldn't mind them going for it. Giannis and the Bucks don't do crap for me either, but
Well,
right now they're tied at 2. The Hawks and Sixers are tied at 2. They're going to play Game 5 tonight.
And then you got the Suns that basically swept 4 straight against Denver, and now they're waiting.
Well, I laughed though with the Joker fight after he won MVP. Did you see his brother trying to come out of the stands to fight the Suns team?
Oh yes, what the heck is that guy thinking?
Yeah, they did take a hit though with Chris Paul out indefinitely though.
Yeah, that's definitely going to affect them.
But Booker has been unbelievable, but they're gonna have a big fight. I don't think now with the Clippers and Jazz. Unfortunately, Kawhi Leonard, who took over the game the other night, he's out with an ACL injury and done. I don't see them taking the Jazz now with Kawhi out. And the Jazz were one of the best teams in the Western Conference. So honestly, to have the Suns and the Jazz in the Western Finals would be pretty cool. And I don't know if I care about the Suns winning. I probably don't, but I wouldn't mind seeing Utah win. Growing up, I loved the Bulls. They're my favorite team. And then I kind of was one of those people that over time, obviously once Jordan left, I've kind of faded into like a really bad Knicks fan where like I maybe watch one game a year and just kind of follow them, where if they get exciting, I'll watch a couple games here and there. But I wouldn't mind seeing Utah get a title in there.
Okay. And then Stan Van Gundy got canned today from New Orleans. In addition to New Orleans having a head coach opening, you also have openings in Boston, Indiana, Orlando, and Portland.
I'm interested to see what happens with Boston. I know they're interviewing Becky Hammon, and that was a whole big deal. And
I was just going to say that. Do you think it's time for a female to be a head coach? Do you think that's coming this year, or do you think we're still a few years out?
I don't really give a crap. I just I don't mean it like that. I mean it like I don't care if you're a male or a female. What do you call it? One of our chat people is asking about the OTC markets. Yes, we're gonna get to it. Don't worry.
We're getting to it. It's coming. It's coming up.
Jerry's gonna get to it and have his whole thing. Sorry to keep you waiting. But either way, no. Listen, she's been around the league for a while, Becky, and listen, if they feel that's the right fit, I don't care. I don't care either way. If she had never been in the league, then I'd be like, all right, it's a publicity stunt. But she's been in for a while, so if they feel that she's the best fit and can command the locker room, I got no issues with it. So, it'll definitely open the door to more opportunities for women.
Yeah.
But like I said, if they feel she's the best fit, she works. That's cool with me.
All right, let's get into some quick soccer news real quick, and then we're going to get into the OTC, LTNC stuff.
Yeah, so the talk of the beginning of the Euro tournament, Euro 2020, which I kind of laugh because it's legitimately called Euro 2020, but yet we're in 2021. It's like 6 months in. Denmark Christian Eriksen collapsed on the field and had to be resuscitated. He had some sort of heart issue and pretty much died on the field. And my only thing is that the TD cameras were trying to zoom in on him, and what we all want to know what's going on. We're all intrigued,
yes.
I guess. But I think it's kind of classless. They do that. Players are blocking them. They're trying to see through their legs, but yet they'll show that. But yet, if something actually entertaining happens, like a streaker or some running on the field, which can give you a little laugh, they take the camera away from that. But so my attitude is, listen, a player's seriously injured like that, take the camera somewhere else and let them have a little privacy. I mean, shit, the guy literally died and they had to resuscitate him. But
basically,
other than that, no other big news. The one big game so far was France and Germany, and unlike World War II, World War I, there, Germany got defeated pretty easily by the French. What do you call it? It was 1-0 score. However, kind of was 3-0. There was 2 disallowed goals, but yeah, France was in control most of the time. So, all right, now Eddie, time for you to listen to Jerry's LTNC
All right.
stock.
So Russ, listen, I've been in LTNC since February. You got in it much later than me. We had Ryan Shadle on episode 1. I had Danny on for a one-on-one interview, episode 3. I've been very fair with them. You see that I do criticize when it's necessary. I do praise when it's necessary. And obviously, Joe doesn't want to come on the show for whatever reason, and I'm fine with that. I do think that he should be doing more interviews, but whatever. It's fine.
I mean, yeah, it's not like you asked him like 37,000 times.
No, I only asked him about 24 and then sent about 6 emails, and after this 24 tweets. But, I mean, just ignoring them all and everything is fine. On a personal note, before I get into my rant here, the fact that I got Blake Harris on this show with 200,000 TikTok followers, I think is something to toot my horn about, and I'm going to for a second. The guy's big. The fact that Phil Hellmuth came on this show, being the greatest poker player of all time, and I can't get Takeover Joe to come on this show and talk about a product or products, not even getting into the inner dark secrets that I know he doesn't want to talk about, but just a promotional whatever, talking about the company, where he came from, his workout regimen, anything. The fact that he doesn't want to come on this show, and I got those other 2 guys, and in 2 weeks, next week, we have 2 big guests coming on as well that we'll get into after this whole rant. The fact that I can't get Joe on the show, I think it's comical. It's absolutely comical that he doesn't want to come on, and it's fine. I'm moving on from this after this. I'm basically done with him and ranting and raving about it. But
well, I'm definitely done after a $900 loss. on a side note, DeGrom is 2 innings in with 5 Ks already. The guy's fucking up. So
in the chat, real quick before I start, Captain Marvel said maybe send Ryan a message to talk to Joe about coming on. I've sent messages to numerous people. I won't name who. I've sent messages to numerous emails. I had Danny Day on the show and told Danny at the end of the interview for everybody to see. You can go back and watch episode 3. I told Danny, hey, I'd love to have Joe on the show. Tell Joe to come on. And that didn't happen, which is fine. Joe doesn't want to come on. It's fine. Joe wants to do special interviews with a Twitter pumper. And I'm going to call him that because that's exactly what he is. Joe wants to do interviews with a Twitter pumper. That's fine. Joe wants to do scripted interviews with somebody with 100,000 followers. That's fine. And not for nothing, that probably is what's worked against you the past several months now. Okay? The stock went from 0.0005 when all these Discord and Twitter influencers and everybody else that they want to, whatever you want to call them, went from that to almost 9 cents. Hell of a feat. They signed Manny. It went from 4 cents to 7. And from 7, it's done nothing now. Nothing. It's nothing. Now, you get into the first week of June, and Joe's telling shareholders a mega tweet is coming. Joe's talking about partnerships. He's securing resources. He assembled his dream team. They're engaging athletes. They're getting gamers.
I'm excited. I thought I was going to make some money or at least get my money back.
Right? I mean, financials are getting updated. Pink is coming. So much more is in the pipeline. I mean, basically told us everything we wanted to hear, right? Then they put out the first week of June that the Labor Smart trademark is for sale. Okay. I guess you're going to change the name of the company or whatever you're going to do. In the lead up with all of this going on, the stock is basically green the whole week. People are thinking, hey, we got something big coming. We got a mega tweet. So finally, on Friday, June 4th, the mega tweet comes down at 10:45 at night. And it was basically a mega dud. And I'm going to call it that because that's exactly what it was. It was 46 simultaneous tweets basically recapping everything they've done from the beginning stages until now. And a few things piqued my interest from it. He tweets that he's had his interviews with Stan. Okay, great. You want to promote Stan? Okay, great. But tweet 11, you stated, hey, I got my second interview with Stan on a Friday night, blah, blah, blah. I'm all about transparency. Well, you know what, Joe? You're not about transparency. You're not. You could give us these vague tweets. You could give us these in-depth tweets. You could do everything you're doing. But I've asked you for numerous times. Weirdo and Beardo, we had them on the show. They've asked you for interviews numerous times. I won't even get into their story. Russ and I, we both know their story. We know what's going on with the game you want to play with them. And it's ridiculous. So the last thing you should be saying right now is you're all about transparency. You might be about transparency about a few things, but you're not about transparency for everything. And that's 100% sure. Because if I were you, I'd be doing numerous interviews. Numerous people and podcasts would be talking to me from all over the world. You want to make this global? You should be talking to everybody. So transparency is a lie. Also from this mega dud, May 2nd, OTC denied them access. They requested to engage a PCAOB, which is an auditor, to audit the financials. On May 7th, they announced a new beverage is coming out. Hey, by the way, Russ, it's June 16th, and that beverage, they collected money for it. That beverage still hasn't shipped. 5.5 weeks later, that beverage hasn't shipped yet. You see a problem with that?
Yeah.
I do. I didn't buy it, but I see a problem with that. 5 weeks later, you haven't shipped yet. You took everyone's money. May 11th, you engaged a law firm, which it's the Amazon law firm. It's the Amazon, I guess Amazon put out that they're using these guys, and now apparently Joe and Takeover is using them. He put out that they're using them. He tags them in tweets. He followed them. I'm not saying he's not using them. He's saying he is. So I'll take his word for it. And they're a law firm that specializes in dealing with OTC markets, dealing with the SEC, and getting pink current. What happened to the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, which is the PCAOB? Did that not work out? Did we forget about them? Because basically a week after saying you were going to use them, they went by the wayside. Or did they tell you, hey, you need lawyers, and you just didn't tell us? Because if you're all about transparency, maybe we should know what's going on with that. Then, June 1st, you claimed you hired a PR firm. The founder and the rep are a former business editor from the Wall Street Journal and Variety, among other media outlets. The firm is going to coordinate messaging between business, sports, and the gaming world. Well, who are they? Because you know what? It's June 16th. There's no PR yet. They haven't taken away your Twitter, and they're not putting out anything. So do they even exist? I'd love to know. Russ, you know what? Maybe I'll just do my own mega tweet, and I'll tweet bomb Joe with all the questions I've had for him for the past 3 months. And maybe he'll answer them.
Yeah, I think at this point, obviously, you got attacked before when you did the other show with Weirdo and Beardo. I would think at this point, you're probably going to get more support than you are.
Listen, I know the army is going to come, and then other people are going to defend. I'm fine. And I'm impartial. I own the stock. I've sold the stock. I've been involved. I've interviewed people. I'm as impartial with this as I can be. I attack and criticize when it's necessary, and I'll give you the praise when it's necessary and needed and wanted.
I do think it's funny that what we talked about today. You as a person who owns the stock, you kept me in the loop and showed me, had me put my attention to Stan and Char's comments on Twitter today, and a person just brought that up in the chat. That's kind of funny how they New York Jewel writes that they tweeted today, turned off all their comments, but yet played the poor me card like it's somebody else's fault. They didn't do anything, but didn't allow people to comment on them. So
it's unbelievable. This is the two people behind this company that are basically the liaison from the executives and the Twitter world. And they block numerous people. They basically get everyone against any negative comment people make. And now, when the shoe is on the other foot, and it's time to start taking some heat for what just happened with a 20-something% sell-off today, they go quiet. They go dark. They criticize Joe and everything else that people have been saying for months that they've been blocking. Now all of a sudden they want to be vocal and criticize, but not take heat because they shut the comments off. It's absolutely comical what they do. Pumpers extreme. They are pumpers extreme. That's what they are. They are the biggest joke when it comes to OTC and stocks and the whole FinTwit thing. They're a joke. Absolute joke. Now back to my rant. Sorry. So June 1st, they hired the PR firm, blah, blah, blah. We still have no idea who they are. Then Joe puts out in this mega dud that the previous OTC market application filed by LaborSmart, and he puts, not us, so you know who he's talking about without mentioning a name, was not approved. They're working to refile and have OTC accept a new Takeover Industries application. So basically, by saying not us, you said Ryan messed up, or the prior executive staff of LaborSmart messed up, and now you got to clean it up. So you didn't mention him directly, but
I'm still confused how a labor company's doing water now. But yeah, that's
again
beyond
another question that has never been answered that I would love to have Joe answer, but whatever. So this mega dud of a tweet, look, the mega dud basically reads like a Twitter stock pumper due diligence thread that a lot of people weren't expecting. It's basically, hey, look at what we've done. We're patting ourselves on the shoulder. And it was a big flop.
I did buy boots. Don't worry, I did.
I think the expectations were very high, and putting out that a mega tweet is coming, everybody thought it was going to have a lot of good information, and it was just basically a recap of things, and it didn't go over so well. Then on Saturday, Ryan tweets out in the morning that he retired 104 million shares, and the total number now is 500 million, as promised. And he's taken a lot of shade over the past couple of days. So I tweeted Ryan asking him, what was the reason for the denial of the application? And he said OTC claimed the stock was under promotion and that Ryan had to even send out a sworn affidavit stating the company had not engaged or promised to engage anyone for the promotion of the stock. He requested documentation from OTC to basically show him what promotion they were talking about. And he never heard back. He basically said he heard crickets. I'm going to get onto the OTC promotion policy in a minute. I have a copy of it from somebody from OTC.
On a quick update, I told you that DeGrom was dealing, and now the motherfucker's at the plate and has another RBI.
So later that day, Joe tweets, I said mega tweet, not earth-shattering. Earth-shattering is next week, which is PR week. Monday, we get two PRs. The LaborSmart trademark has been sold for $250,000, and an endorsement deal with Jaguars tight end Chris Manhertz is done. Now, I had to look him up. I don't know if you know him, but you signed the wrong Jaguars tight end to an endorsement deal because the other guy that just signed with them, Tim Tebow, is the guy you should have signed. Chris Manhertz has 6 catches.
Got my wife's ears with Tebow.
Chris Manhertz has 6 catches from 8 targets, 52 yards in 16 games in 2020. 12 career receptions in 70 games.
All-star stats.
Great. Mega dud, like I said. You then get Manny drinking the drink, which is great. Huge. What we've said we wanted to see for a long time, we finally got. We got him drinking the drink. Then you get Joe on Wednesday posting a picture from an undisclosed location for a meeting. The undisclosed location was Eagle Mountain Golf Club. And you got idiots on Twitter claiming he's meeting with Phil Mickelson and Phil Mickelson owns the golf club. Well, when you go to Phil Mickelson Properties and his website of what he owns, he doesn't own it, guys. Hate to burst the bubble. Then you got one of the sales guys on Instagram, which if you're zoned in on the stock like I am and everybody else who should be zoned in when you got a lot of money involved in it, you got one of the sales guys, the West Coast guy. He's posting on Instagram. He's out there playing golf with all the executives. If you're playing golf, who's doing the meeting? Just Joe? Confused about that too. Would love to know if they were playing golf during the meeting or if there even was a meeting. Then Joe posts a picture with a retired NFL punter, Marquette King. And Joe tags the wrong Oakland Raiders Twitter handle. They moved to Vegas, didn't they, Russ?
Yeah, they did. It's still weird. They're in fucking Vegas.
It's at that point where I realized that I think Joe needs to be off Twitter. I really do. I think if a PR firm exists, they should be running the show. And the Army should not be spoon-fed the way they are. It shouldn't be like this anymore. Because the minute you don't get something, the stock tanks. The minute you get something, it goes up, and then it tanks again. And he's even announcing when things are coming, so it's affecting the price. 2 PRs in a week was not earth-shattering. Fast forward to today, the stock's down to 2 cents. 20-something% sell-off.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was great. It was great. The whole world loves it. The biggest Twitter pumpers apparently sold their stuff because of the tweets they put out. And like NY Jewel just said in the chat, you can't even respond. But my questions for anyone who wants to chime in or anything, I'm available on Twitter, at the E.A.T podcast. It's on the bottom of the screen here. You guys can contact me anytime you want. Russ is tagged on stuff as well. You can contact him. But answer for us. Where are the goats? You brought Manny on board. And the Twitter pumpers are pounding their chests saying, Joe promised 3 goats by the end of April. And Joe hasn't delivered one.
Are these comments live or no?
Oh, they're live. Yeah, they're live.
Okay.
Where's the retail? We've been hearing for months now. Retail's coming, retail's coming. We got nothing. We got Stan pumping 7-Eleven and Kroger in one of his interviews, and you haven't heard anything about them since. Pink Current seems like it's not going to happen. I hope it does for all the shareholders who are sitting here holding a bag. I really do.
And maybe be fucking pissed, that if it does. But the other half, yeah, all the people that are fucking down right now that bought in at 6, 7 cents, 5 cents, whatever. I got no hate against these people. I'd like to see them make their money back. And
I think the whole interview, PR, marketing process needs to go through a company, because going through this one guy or Twitter pumpers just doesn't do it for me. And it doesn't do it for a lot of people. It doesn't. It doesn't at all. And now let me get into OTC for a second. We had Ryan on the first episode. My plan was to try and get a public information officer from OTC Markets on the show, whether it was before Ryan or shortly thereafter Ryan was on the show, to basically give us some insight on what goes on with OTC and the deadlines that are coming, signs of fraud, things that we want to know, because OTC isn't exactly 100% transparent on things as well. They don't speak that often, and when they do, it's not with someone like me and you. It's just not. But I messaged them late March before we started the show in April, asking about a public information officer to set up an interview. We'd love to hear certain things about nothing about specific stocks, but certain things pertaining to OTC stocks is how I worded it. Stuff about non-current, non-reporting companies and what the process is. Stuff about uplisting. It's a topic we're going to cover on the show because retail investors are starting to pour money into OTC, and an interview would be great. I gave them a whole rundown of who we are, where we can be found, and everything else. And somebody from their corporate communications group, which the director of corporate communications, responded to my email asking who we were, what we do, who our audience is, what our website is, what our social media is. They asked if any executives have been on the show, which we were just starting, so we had nobody. And how long would a podcast segment be? And then the thing that set me off with them was they asked if they would be paid for an interview, which I'm not paying anybody. You want to come on and talk about your product or your company, I would love it. I'll talk to anybody about anything. And that's something that I thought would have been great. But the fact that they inquired what the compensation is, their compensation, right then and there, I knew it wasn't going to happen. So I knew it's an uphill battle. So I gave them all the answers they wanted of who we are, what we do, where we could be found, everything else, and length of segments and everything else, blah, blah, blah. The response back the next day was, "Thank you for providing all the information. At this juncture, we are going to respectfully decline any interviews." So I wrote back, "All right, I'm sorry to hear that. Maybe I'll reach out in a few months when I have some stuff and you guys can go through it because we're brand new. And maybe you can come back on." So after we had Ryan on, after we had Danny on, we even had Christy Hunt from GSPI on. I emailed them back and I said, "Hey, I'm just circling back. Things have changed. We've now done a bunch of podcasts. I've had a bunch of people on. Would love to have somebody come on and talk to us about OTC."
Yeah.
I also then said, "If this isn't possible, would I be able to send a Q&A in an email? Maybe someone can just answer the Q&A and then I can use that on the show." So they wrote back, "Thank you for your email. We're going to pass." They weren't interested in anything. They weren't interested in speaking in person. They weren't interested in doing a Q&A. Fast forward from April to June. Now June 7th, I emailed them again. And I said, "Hey, there's the OTC SEC deadlines coming up in June and September. We're doing our show, and I don't want to misspeak. I'd love to have someone come on or answer questions so that I get the right info out to our people, our listeners, our audience."
Yeah.
So she wrote me back basically a cut and paste email of all the SEC rules, which you can find on Google, and the deadlines and everything else that's happening, without answering any questions.
Okay.
So then I wrote back, "Hey, can you just put me in contact with someone who can answer my question specific? I just read through everything you have. It's my understanding that a non-reporting dark company," and I went into a whole bunch of questions about OTC. And she wrote me back, "Hey, I'm checking in with someone, and I'm going to get you some answers to your questions." That's basically what she wrote. She's just waiting for verification, which was great. It came out of the blue. It's awesome.
Okay.
So my first question to them was, "It's my understanding that a company that is non-reporting, or quote-unquote dark, has until the end of June to submit an application to OTC Markets to become a reporting company. Once the application is submitted and accepted, the company would then submit financials, an attorney letter, and any other documentation requested by OTC Markets. OTC Markets then reviews, asks questions for clarification, and then after that period, the company would go from dark to yield to pink when all criteria are met." And that was my question. That was the first question. She wrote back, "Companies that are not providing current information, those designated as pink, no information, should provide required disclosures to OTC Markets by June 30th to ensure that our issuer compliance team has sufficient time to review and update market status for a company's securities prior to the rules compliance date on September 28th. So there's a big thing on Twitter right now that people think that if the company is not pink current by June 30th, they're going to get delisted and gone. That's not the case. That question right there just tells us your application has to be accepted, and you have to start conversing with them about financials and everything else. So anyone who thinks that in the next 2 weeks, the company that you're invested in is going to go bye-bye, that's not the case. If your company has their application accepted, they are now going to discuss things with OTC for several months. My next question to them was, if a company doesn't submit an application or documents by the June deadline, can they be suspended or delisted from June to September? Or would the suspend/delist happen only after the September deadline? So she told me the June deadline is in place only to ensure that we have sufficient time to review materials. It's after the September 26th deadline that companies will no longer be eligible for public quoting. So if you own a company that's not pink current, and they send an application in and it's accepted, and they're in the give and take back and forth scenario, like I discussed before,
Yeah.
you have until September 28th. So then I said, what would be some reasons a company's application would be denied? And we all know where I was going with that. There's no secret where I was going with that. But I'm not going to ask about specific stocks because that's not what I was doing. So she sent me a link to the OTC page. And on the OTC page, there is a policy that's called OTC Markets Group Policy on Stock Promotion. It's 3 pages. I'm not going to get into all, 3 pages of it. I will post it on Twitter. Our DMs are wide open. If somebody wants a link to this, They can tweet us. They can private message us. I will get it to them. And it basically says that OTC Markets is aware of basically people pumping a stock on social media and other sites. And whether it's by investors or anonymous market manipulators, fraudulent promotional campaigns that harm the integrity of public markets and defraud investors is a no-go. It's a no-go. So you have people who, and I won't mention names, will just pound the table about a certain ticker 45 times a day and give out ridiculous price targets with no information behind it.
Yeah.
That's a problem. If you don't clearly identify the promotion and who is sponsoring this and who is involved with this promotion, it's a problem. If you're focusing on a company's stock rather than the underlying business, it's a problem. If you're using highly speculative language and materials that rely on grandiose numbers and figures related to performances or profit potentials that are unsupported or exaggerated, it's a problem. If you're making unreasonable claims pertaining to an issuer's operations, it's a problem. If you're suggesting a promise of a specific performance of the stock, $1 price target by the summer, $5 by the end of the year, that's a problem. If you're providing little or no factual information about a company, you're omitting material information, it's a problem. Does this sound familiar for the past few months? Could this be why certain companies with stocks are labeled promotions and applications are being denied? Does it sound familiar? So then OTC says if this is all going on, you as the executives of a company need to tell us that you're aware of this, whether you paid for it, are unaware of it, or promised them stock or some other compensation for doing it. OTC wants you to tell them that you're aware of it and put out PRs, put out statements, put out all this info speaking against it. And that didn't happen either. We all spoke about this stock. I get it. Ryan's right when he says we all spoke about it. We did. Some of us spoke a lot louder than others. Some of us spoke a lot more often than others. But the best practices for issuers is a 4-page document that I'll include the link if anybody wants it. I'm not going to flood the next hour on this podcast reading it verbatim. But management of a public company has the responsibility to dispel unfounded rumors, misinformation, false statements, which result in unusual market activity. Misleading and manipulative promotion clearly fall into this area of concern and must immediately be addressed. The fact that this stuff wasn't addressed, whether it was by Ryan, by Joe, it doesn't matter. It wasn't addressed. If it was addressed, we don't know about it. Ryan sent this one affidavit that he wasn't aware of anything. Fine. But the minute that this hits the fan, when the shit hits the fan, start responding to it. Apparently they didn't. You gave a Twitter pumper your only interview or only interviews. You see a problem with that? I do. Because he's the only guy talking about the stock. That's why the stock got a promotion designation on it. Because of that. That's not my opinion. I think it's a fact. There's also other people involved that have close ties to OTC that people are saying have affected the company being flagged promotion. There's leaked discords that came out. It's unbelievable. I mean, it really is. But it's a hell of a hill to climb. There's a promotion designation and a denial on this thing. Like I said, I'm not going to get into all of it. You guys want to contact me on Twitter, you can, at the E.A.T podcast. I'll post it. I'll even post all of these things on websites without anyone asking. I'll even do that just so it avoids the mass confusion and responses everyone wants. But Russ, I need your opinion on this, just because we both been invested in it. I got in early, you got in late. We're on two opposite sides of the spectrum. What are your thoughts?
At this point, fuck LTNC. Sorry. No, listen. My only thing is like you said, I got in late, but it seemed promising, and I think people said it before. I think even someone said with the, why isn't Manny wearing shorts that say next level on them? And why wouldn't he be pumping the shit out of it and advertising everywhere as far as like getting Manny Pacquiao? And, I don't know, just something seems very shady, but I guess that's what the risk you take when you get into the OTC market.
And then
And again, like I said as before, is you got a labor company that has a hydrogen water. Just how the fuck does that make sense?
and then I got into a couple more questions here. I asked if an application is denied, what does an appeal entail for the company? Is an appeal even possible? OTC wrote me back and said, there is no formal appeal process. The company can work to rectify any issues identified and resubmit their application. So I wrote my next question. After the September deadline, all OTC markets reporting companies must update financials on a quarterly timeline. What would have happened if a company stopped reporting, say 6 months down the line? They reported for 2 quarters and now they stopped. She said that securities of companies that cease to provide current information are afforded a 15-day grace period, and then they will lose their eligibility for public quoting. So if your company is pink current and decides to stop reporting down the line, they will have a 15-day grace period, or they will be not available to publicly quote anymore. I also asked, what is the process to get them reporting if they're in that grace period, besides facing a suspension / delisting? And she basically sent me a thing called a late filing form, which a company must fill out. Then I sent an email today based on seeing an OTC stock with a promotion flag on it when you go to OTC. Now, I've never seen this before. Somebody alerted me to it. And there are certain stocks that say promotion with a flag. So I emailed OTC again today, and I just said to them, hey, I have a follow-up question regarding promotion. I'm not asking about any specific stock, but I do see stocks with promotion flags, and I've read up on the promotion guidelines that you sent and what a company should be doing when promotion is happening to their stock. My question is this. If a stock is not pink current and labeled on the promotion, does that prevent the company from becoming pink? And in the same context, if a company is pink, can a promotion label downgrade them from pink to, say, yield? I told her I was going to discuss this tonight on the show. I would love an answer back. She wrote me back an hour later, and she said, the promotion flag is independent of the current / limited information designation. So that makes me think that promotion is not tied to pink current. So that's another question I have now. If it's not tied to it and their application was denied, is there more to the story? I tweeted Ryan being the stand-up guy that he is, and I will not speak bad about him. The guy's been great to me, great to the show, answers any question I have on Twitter, and it's publicly out there. I ask him any question anytime, and he answers. I'm not going to speak bad about him. And he answered. I'm only aware of a promotion designation based on the denial that they sent. He's not aware of anything else. And he basically covered whatever questions they had, which was who took over the company, and he gave them the updated filings. All the questions they had regarding who took over were in the updated filings. They can get all their answers there. And then he never heard back, or that was the end of it. So I'm curious, if promotion doesn't prevent you from being pink, what else is going on here? Would love to know. We're never going to know. All right, my rant is over. I'm done. I had enough.
I got bad news.
What?
DeGrom went 3 innings, 8 Ks, and an RBI, and then he got pulled. He's hurt again.
Elbow?
I don't know, but definitely got something wrong. He got pulled the other night at the 6. So with the flexor strain, whatever it was. So I don't know, man. He's having a great season. It sucks. This life of a Mets fan. You got Carrasco, Syndergaard, DeGrom, all gonna be freaking hurt. Yeah, I don't know what to think anymore with the LTNC stuff. It looked so promising, and
it did. It looked great.
I follow stock quits, which could be
toxic
at times, but there was definitely a lot of people there that thought this was going to go to the moon, and
I was one of them.
And I believed you. But like I said, as much as I'm not going to get my money back now, I wouldn't mind if we did go current. At least people got their money back. I don't like, most of the people that are in this are not big rollers. They're people like you and me that took a chance on something. So I wouldn't mind seeing them get their money back.
No, and also I want to let everybody know who's watching, listening, or will listen down the line on Spotify or a replay of this on YouTube later. This isn't sour grapes. This isn't us complaining. This is life. This is facts. A whole boatload of people are holding a bag. A whole boatload of people believed in something, and it's nothing right now. It's crushed. If they could turn it around, great. I hope they can, because a lot of people have been screwed over, so to speak. The Army can come after me. The Army can tweet me all they want. They can do whatever they want. That's fine. I'm prepared for it. I'll defend myself. I'll defend my comments. I haven't said anything I haven't said anything in this rant that's a lie, that's fabricated, that's fake. I'm sure the whole, where did these emails come from? Their photoshopped argument's going to come down the line too. Mm-hmm. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's coming, but we'll see. I'm sure that's coming down the line.
All right, let's end it on a different note.
The Army is in denial, is what NY Jewel 24 is saying.
It's possible. Listen, everyone wants to believe that the shit's still, buy the dip. Unfortunately,
well, the dip has been from 0.0875 until under 2 cents. It's been a constant dip.
Listen, there's a lot of times that buy the dip works, but unfortunately, sometimes buy the dip is just adding more to your bag and then crashing. So, like I said, I hope it turns around, and it is just a dip, but it is what it is. So
I'm moving on. I'm trading my plan and moving on into other things, and that's fine. That's my personal preference. I'm not telling anyone what to do. They should do their own thing based on when they got in or what they feel or what they believe. That's fine. But I'm moving on, and if Joe or anyone else wants to come on this show and defend themselves or answer questions, I'll have them on, because it'll draw people. It's fine. It'll bring people to the show. I have no problem sitting here talking to them about it. But good luck getting your money back, guys, because right now, a lot of people are left questioning things.
Before we go, or I leave you with, I don't have a quote of the week. I have a video of the week, or just drunk idiots doing something stupid. We'll figure out a segment name for that one. But before we go, I just want to say we went through this whole podcast, and I didn't lose connection once. So the upgraded service and the new laptop definitely made a difference. So
all right, beautiful.
But I don't have a quote of the week this week, but I do have drunk idiot award of the week. So
all right, so here we go. Here comes the drunk idiot of the week. Oh, what just happened?
That was a quick video. All right. It was that quick. We'll roll real quick again, so in case you missed it.
Oh, Mr. Boots says it should be the Eat It Award of the week.
Oh. Where'd it go? There it is. All right, we'll roll one more time. It ends so quick. Yeah, I don't think she has a good.
Oh!
No. E.A.T. It's in the air. All right.
And next week we're gonna do 2 shows. So this got scheduled with 2 different guests. I'm not gonna turn a guest down. I love to have a guest on. Next week on Monday, we're gonna have the draft analyst. It's a hockey guy talking to NHL draft, playoffs, expansion, awards, Rangers, Islanders, whatever's left in the playoffs. I hope the Islanders are gone by then. Sorry, guys, but I can't deal with them in the finals. And then Wednesday night is the High Stakes Duel 2 Round 3 between Phil Hellmuth and Daniel Negreanu. Well, the next day, on Thursday, June 24th, we're going to have Jeff Platt's broadcast partner, Brent Buffalo Hanks, on the show. He's from New York, lives in Vegas now, plays poker. He's Jeff's broadcast partner. He's a gambler. He'll break down the High Stakes Duel. We'll have some fun with him with a Q&A. I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be a good time. But as always, guys, thanks for tuning in. A replay of this stream is going to be available on YouTube and Twitch. We are on Twitter and Instagram at the E.A.T. Podcast. Tomorrow, the audio from this stream will be available on Spotify. Russ, do you have anything to say before we get out of here?
Nope. Let's go Vegas tonight.
All right. From New York, guys, we'll see you next Monday. Have a great night. Enjoy the rest